Over the next 5 years, the WNBA is set to undergo its most ambitious growth phase since the league's founding in 1996, introducing 5 new teams and creating at least 60 new roster spots. For a league that has long been lauded for its elite level of play and limited opportunities, often described as the toughest roster to make in pro sports, this expansion is a monumental shift. But as excitement grows about new cities embracing professional women's basketball, a critical question emerges. Is the WNBA expanding too fast for its own good? One of the most significant concerns around rapid expansion is the talent dilution effect. For decades, the WNBA's limited number of teams has meant that only the very best players survive training camp cuts. Roster depth has been fierce, and many accomplished collegiate athletes have found themselves waived before ever logging a minute in a regular season game. Adding 60 roster spots will inevitably lower the barrier to entry. While more jobs for players is a positive development on the surface, the league risks a short-term decline in overall quality of play if it cannot source enough high-level talent to fill these new slots. Many general managers will be forced to look internationally and sign players who may need time to adapt to the WNBA's speed and physicality. In other words, the league's brand, built on elite competition, could take a temporary hit. Another layer of complexity is the league's still developing business model. While the WNBA has made great strides in media deals, sponsorships, and visibility, it remains a league heavily subsidized by the NBA and reliant on targeted investment. Even some existing franchises operate at a loss. Bringing in 5 new ownership groups is a gamble that those markets will sustain attendance, viewership, and revenue growth. Cities awarded expansion teams will need infrastructure, marketing muscle, and community support that doesn't always materialize overnight. If even 1 or 2 of these new franchises struggle to draw fan engagement, it could become a drag on league finances overall. The WNBA has taken smart steps to ensure expansion bids are vetted thoroughly, but it is still fair to ask whether the market has grown enough to support this scale of growth so quickly. On the other hand, proponents of rapid expansion argue that women's sports can no longer wait for a perfect moment to invest. Interest in the WNBA is at an all-time high. Ratings are rising, social media engagement is exploding, and the talent pipeline from NCAA programs is deeper than ever. The record-breaking attendance at games like Caitlin Clark's Fever debut and the soaring jersey sales demonstrate a hunger for women's professional basketball that simply didn't exist in past decades. Advocates contend that this momentum must be seized before it stalls. In that view, holding back on expansion risks losing a generation of fans eager for local teams and new rivalries. Another factor in favor of expansion is the current overcrowding of rosters that forces quality players out of the league prematurely. A 12-team league cannot adequately employ all of the standout college stars entering every draft class. Adding 5 teams gives more players an opportunity to develop professionally rather than being relegated to overseas contracts. It can also reduce the burnout factor that comes with players having to supplement their WNBA income abroad year-round. Ultimately, whether the WNBA is expanding too fast will depend on execution. Success hinges on smart ownership, robust marketing, and continued investment in youth pipelines. The league cannot afford to assume that talent and fans will simply materialize because the logo is on the jersey. Yet it is also clear that professional women's basketball is at a tipping point of visibility and popularity. If the WNBA can sustain this growth with a long-term vision rather than short-term hype, expansion could be the catalyst that transforms it from a niche league into a truly mainstream professional sport. In the end, the stakes are high. The WNBA's next 5 years will define whether it has scaled up responsibly or outgrown its foundation too quickly. Thank you for tuning in and supporting women's sports. Your voice, your views, and your passion are what drive this game forward.